that evening was one of those special evenings we had had in a long time. I told him to come downstairs. And I wanted to hug him. I don't know why. He came down the stairs and he hugged me and he said, "Dad, I'm so sorry for all the things that I had put you through in the past." And I said, "Don't worry about it, Daniel. You're just a kid and you're just learning that you're going places. You got a great future coming ahead. Just so proud of you. You have no idea." All right, Dad, good night. Love you. Good night, son. I love you too. See you tomorrow morning. Next day, about 8 o'clock in the morning, when I walked into his room, he was in a lying position facing up against the headboard, with his hands over his chest. And I saw his eyes. Had a little blue on top of his lips. I screamed at the very top of my lungs, "Daniel! Daniel! Daniel!" I called the paramedics. They carried him down the stairs and put him on the first floor. Started doing chest compressions. And then they took him to Los Angeles Children's Hospital where we were put in the waiting room. Later on that evening, a team of doctors came in. And they said that your boy is just a shell of a boy that he was before. He's not coming back. My only child. I couldn't protect him. I couldn't save his life. I couldn't save my son, Daniel. My son is gone. It wasn't supposed to be this way. He was supposed to graduate from high school this year. If you love yourself, you respect yourself, you love life, you have a choice. Because it is between life or death. This is no joke. You can and will die. How do I know this? I can tell you that I've met thousands upon thousands upon thousands of parents nationwide. I wish somebody had sat me down and had this talk with me about what fentanyl does to people. I didn't get that chance. You do.
You know, there's always been one main problem with the films that we make, and it's the reason why we try to keep them as real and as relatable as possible. People just so commonly think that it will not happen to them. I'm talking about great people, nice people, cool people, intelligent people with big plans for the future, big potential. Gone because of one choice they didn't know was in their life. Fentanyl is coming for anyone and everyone. So the most important message that I can give to kids, to teens, young adults, anybody, is the same old message we've heard time and time again. And that's to really get serious about not even trying a drug. You see, back when we first started, I was telling kids not to use drugs because you might get hooked, you might get addicted. Now there's not even time for that. Now it's don't try a drug because you might actually not wake up tomorrow. You might actually not get another chance. One choice is all it takes. If you don't believe that, I guarantee you, at this point, there was someone very similar to you who wished they could be here right now to look into the camera and look into your eyes and say, don't do it. Please don't do it. Please, I wish I wouldn't have done it. Don't do it. Don't risk your life. So my question for you is, are you going to listen? Or will it be your family and your friends holding your picture, wishing they could have been there to tell you?
This is my son, Alexander. He died at 14 years old from fentanyl poisoning.
This is our daughter, Jessica. She was 29 years old when she was killed by fentanyl.
This is my daughter, Alex. She was murdered at 20 years old by a drug dealer who sold her a counterfeit pill made of fentanyl.
This is my son, Daniel Joseph Huerta Johnson, killed at the age of 16 by illicit fentanyl.
This is my son.
Pretty hard hitting, isn't it? The gentleman on there, Jaime Puerta, was talking about his 15-year-old son Daniel. We've had him here in Newcastle last October to speak at the conference. He's bilingual, so he was, brought in for presentations in English and also in Spanish. So we know basically that's on film, and this is real, definitely real. What I'd like next is to introduce you to another member of Vision Ministries who's local to us with his testimony, and his name is Vaughn Cruci.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to thank you all for having us here to speak to you today. Like I said, my name is Vaughn Cruci. I'm from Newcastle, Lawrence County, born and raised here my whole life. Family's from Lawrence County, Newcastle. I lost my son, Sean Cruci, August 1st, 2014, to a heroin overdose that was laced with fentanyl. So fentanyl is nothing new. This is my son, Sean. He was 33 years old when he passed. He has two children. They're now 19 and 21. The day I lost my son was the worst day of my life. I can't even put into terms or words what the feeling is. No one should have to bury a child. Nobody should have to bury a child. My son, I lived with addiction in my family for quite a few years. I have 3 children, 2 daughters and a son. My youngest daughter and my son were both addicted to opiates. It started back in his late 20s. Sean started. Calling started a little bit earlier. But they started on the opiates that were very widespread back in that day. They had the pill mills around town where opiates were being handed out like candy. Sean and Colleen both did not want to be addicted. They didn't want to live that life. We talked about it many times. I had many conversations with both of my children about the dangers. You know, I tried to save them. I tried to do my best in what I could. Unfortunately, my son's addiction was too strong. He never overcame it. He believed that he could trust his dealer. You know, because like I said, we talked about fentanyl. Fentanyl was around. It was around in Pittsburgh. Fentanyl and fentanyl were both around back in the early 2000s. Not as widespread as they are today. Mostly they were being cut into drugs like heroin. He said, my son didn't want to die. We talked about it many times. He cried many times. He just ran out of time. I struggle with that. Even today I struggle with that. His sister, Colleen, almost 1 year to the day, overdosed in my bathroom in my house. My mother, her grandmother, who was 77 years old at the time, found her in the bathroom. The door was locked. She was in the bathroom. She was passed out. We got the door open, went in. She was laying on the floor. She was blue. I thought I had lost another. I thought I lost my daughter also. And I couldn't understand why. But I had a friend that was there, was a nurse. He was able to revive my daughter. My daughter went into an extensive treatment program. She did very well. As a matter of fact, September 15th this year, she celebrates 8 years clean and sober. And she's living a good life. She's very active in speaking. She speaks in many organizations, many groups. She does what she can out there to try and help the people in active addiction. You know, as I said, I was lost. I was so lost when I lost my son. I sat in my basement in my chair for about a year. I didn't know what to do. I had a lot of crazy thoughts of what I was going to do. You know, I knew who had sold the drugs to my son. As I said, I had a lot of crazy thoughts. I was doing a lot of crazy things. I was lost. I was totally lost. As I said, losing a child is just not. It's not the way it's supposed to be in life. So I told my daughter, she knew the recovery community and so forth. I told my daughter I needed to do something. Something was just inside of me that said I needed to do something. When she came to me and said there was an event going on downtown for people in recovery and so forth, I said I want to be involved. I got involved, and they asked me to speak. I went down, I spoke. The point of this is, that night, we had 3 spiritual speakers. Pastor Randy Crum spoke, Pastor Apostle David Young, and Pastor Lawrence Smith. It touched my soul that night. God literally came down and touched my soul. Because I didn't know what was going on. You know, I was angry at God. I was mad at God. How could you take my son? How could you almost take my daughter? He didn't take my son. He didn't almost take my daughter. They made that choice. You know, don't ever get me wrong. They made the choice to start using drugs. But opiates is a drug that changes your brain. It changes the receptors in your brain. I'm not going to get into all that, into the addiction side of it. But like I said, I was lost until I heard the word of God that day. And it brought back to me what my purpose in life was to be. God wanted to use my pain, my hardship, to spread this word, to help other people understand, help other people suffering, help other people going through this. I didn't understand at the time. I didn't really know that much about it. I always believed in God, but I thought I went to God is whenever I needed something, whenever I wanted to ask for help, whenever I needed this or needed dad. I never gave back, I always took. Well, it was time for me to give back. I didn't want to see any more parents have to live this. They have to bury their children. It was beyond words. But God touched my soul that night. And I knew that I had to step forward and use my pain, my hardships, to show people that no matter what you're going through in life, no matter what your hardships are, if you have your faith in God, He will get you through this. You know, I always thought He abandoned me. He didn't abandon me. He walked beside me. He carried me through all these hardships that I had all these years. I thought it was always me. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. It was God that was carrying me. It was helping me through this. I didn't realize it at the time. I do today. Because, you know, people always say I'm strong because I come up and speak and I do this. It's not me. It's God. He gives me the strength. He gives me the courage to continue doing what I do. And I will continue doing this to my last breath on this earth because I don't want to see any more parents have to bury their children, whether it be from drugs, whether it be for anything. Burying a child just is not the natural progression of life. It just is not. So I will do this till the day I die, to reach out. If I can help one person, then I've succeeded something. You know, this has totally changed this game of drugs, drug addiction. You know, like you said on there, you know, when we started this 8 years ago, we were telling people don't do drugs because you become addicted. You know, we tell kids today, don't do drugs because you will die. And you will. Fentanyl is not a recreational drug. As no drugs are really recreational drugs, but fentanyl is not a recreational drug. Fentanyl is poison. They are poisoning our kids. They are poisoning our generations. And people say, well, why are they trying to kill them? That's their customers. Well, they're not trying to kill them. They're trying to get them addicted. And if they kill a few, they don't care. This has got to the point where, you know, we're losing 13-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 15, 16, 17. You know, these kids today don't understand this. You know, kids will experiment with things. As we all did. I did when I was younger, I'm sure we all did. Whether it was drugs, whether it was booze, whether it was sex, whatever it was. We all experimented with things when we were younger. Kids will do that. But today, you know, they can take one pill, they can take half a pill. As Ivy said on this pill, this on took half a pill. Half a pill, and it killed them. And the other half, there was enough fentanyl in it to kill 5 other people. This is destroying our communities. This is destroying our families. These kids today don't realize the choices that they are making, and that's why we try to spread this message. Fentanyl is in every drug out there today. 70 to 80% of the drugs on the street today have fentanyl in them. You know, they just arrested someone in Pittsburgh. It was a dealer out of New York, came into Pittsburgh, brought $1 million worth of fentanyl with him. There was enough fentanyl there to kill 35% of the people in Pennsylvania. Think about that for a minute. One dealer brought one amount of fentanyl into Pittsburgh. It was enough to kill 35% of the people in our state. You know, our city, our county, Lawrence County, is the second highest overdose rate per capita in the state of Pennsylvania. Second highest per capita in the state of Pennsylvania, Lawrence County. So, you know, when we see people speak that are from not from town, from California, New York, Arizona, we all think, well, that's their problem. It's not. It's our problem. It's right here. If you think that fentanyl was in Pittsburgh, that they busted wasn't going to end up in Newcastle, it was. This is a weapon of mass destruction that they're putting out there. I don't care how you want to view it, that's my view. It's a weapon of mass. These are terrorists that are killing our young people and older people. I mean, there's people in addiction. As Dad said, you know, this is people that are in active addiction and just as much to worry about someone taking their first pill. Because the people in active addiction are using every day. So their chances of dying are even greater. Even greater. And you know, we all sit back and we say, oh, it's horrible. You know, I'm not here today for your sympathy. I'm not here for that. I'm here to try to educate and tell you what is going on. We have to stand up as a community and do something. We have to come together. We have to talk to our children and our grandchildren. Don't be afraid to talk to your children and grandchildren about this. Become educated, understand what you're talking about, but have this conversation. Keep this conversation going. Because that's how important this is. Don't ever think, it won't be my child. Not my child. Those are the worst words I've ever heard in my life. Not my child. Because let me tell you, it can be your child. No matter how good, my son was a great son, my daughter was a great daughter. I'm not ashamed of them. I'm proud of them. They were good people. They were good people. They had plans, they had futures. You know, again, my daughter, praise God, she's doing well. But my son never got that chance. And if he was here today, if he could be here, as he said, he would tell you, don't do it. Just don't do it. You're risking your life today. I mean, like I said, fentanyl is in everything. Adderall, Xanax, codeine, and you name it. You name any drug out there, it's in it. And it's deadly. It is deadly. 5 minutes after you've taken it, you're gone. And it's scary. People, you have to think about this. That we lost 110,000 people last year to overdose deaths. 110,000. We lost 85 just here in Lawrence County. 85 people right here in Lawrence County. And so if we think that it's not here in our community, we're only kidding ourselves. If we think my child might not experiment and try something, you're only kidding yourself. Because they will. It's more important that you have that talk with them now. Explain to them the dangers that are happening with this. Because I believe, because we all believe, that if we tell the kids the truth and we're honest with them and explain to them the truth, that they will make those right decisions. Because that's where this is going to end. If we can educate our kids and get our kids to stop the demand for the drugs, then the supply will quit. And people say, well, you're crazy, that's never going to happen. I don't believe that. I believe that God is very powerful. God can change this. But you have to have the faith and believe that this can change and work towards that goal. We all have to work together to change this. Get involved. Do something. Talk to your kids. Talk to your grandkids, please. There's nothing more important. Like I said, I talked to my son, but unfortunately my son was so far into his addiction, he just thought it was ever going to happen to him. He thought he was invincible. That's what most people do that are in their active addiction. They think nothing bad's ever going to happen to them. But it did. My last memories of my son is seeing him on that stainless steel table at the morgue, with his sheet over his head. There's no worse feeling in the world. So please talk to your children. Keep this conversation going. I don't want to see any more parents have to suffer this pain. Keep this conversation. We can stop this. We can make a difference. We can make a difference. So please, take what we say seriously. Talk to your children. Talk to your grandchildren. I can't say that enough. Because that's our future. If you know someone who's struggling, please ask them to seek help. We can do this. We can beat this. We can beat the devil, because as Randy said, this is the devil trying to take over. The easiest way to do is just kill them off. And that's what's happening today. We're losing kids and people in record numbers. Record numbers. So it's something I wish I didn't have to do. I wish my son was still here, but he's not. I will be my son's voice. I will be his voice. Because again, if he was here, he'd tell you, don't do it. Just don't do it. You don't want to leave your family without you. So, I miss my son. I miss him dearly. I miss him every day. He's not alone in mind. And people always say that time heals all wounds. This is a wound, it just does not heal. But God walks me through this, helps me through this. My faith keeps me strong. But the pain's still always there. It always will be. Don't let this happen to you. Thank you.
I'd like to call Lori Jo Sager.
Good morning. My name is Lori Jo Sager, and my 20-year-old son, Garrett Magazine, was a victim of fentanyl poisoning. Garrett was a beautiful child growing up. He loved his family and his friends, and he had a very creative mind. As he grew into a teen, he began having anxiety and depression, which led him to start experimenting and with different substances to try to help himself feel better, and eventually became addicted to heroin. With the help of family, Garrett did attend various rehab programs. The last one was last year, 2022. He flew to California to enter a rehab and sober living program. Not long after he completed the program, while he was still in California, he relapsed. He took a pill that he purchased off the streets of California. Unknown to him, it was laced with fentanyl, and Garrett overdosed. Somebody at the home applied Narcan, and Garrett was taken by ambulance to the local hospital. Upon arrival at the hospital, Garrett coded and had to be resuscitated. Garrett sustained a very serious anoxic brain injury, and he was paralyzed from the waist up. He spent the next 4.5 months in room 116 of the ICU of the hospital in California on a ventilator and a feeding tube. Eventually, his body began experiencing storming episodes because of the brain's inability to regulate his blood pressure, his body temperature, and his heart rate. Garrett lost his battle and passed away on February 10th of this year, 20 years old. I've made it my mission, as I promised Garrett before he passed away, that I would tell his story, and I would help educate others about the dangers of fentanyl poisoning and how quickly it can stomp out the life of a beautiful soul. I've joined with Vision Ministries to educate others, and I've also created a project called My Angel in Room 116 Initiative, which is on display here this morning. They're posters recognizing those local souls that have lost their lives due to overdoses. My life is forever changed. My Garrett's not coming back. I hope you will take this presentation very seriously. Talk to your children, your loved ones. This is very serious, it's very real. I would give anything to have Garrett back. I wish I could turn back time and change things, but I can't. If you can make a difference by educating your family members. Thank you.
I've seen these presentations a few times, and every time it gets me. As was mentioned by both Tawny and Lori, and you're going to see some slides here that kind of reaffirm this. This is not something that's just happening out in California or Arizona along the border where most of the fentanyl comes into the United States. Basically, every city is now a border city, and it has infiltrated every city. I have just a few stats to go over with you real quickly, and then we're gonna finish up our program. The origins of illicit fentanyl and poison pills. Mainly the precursors are all made in China. Precursor chemicals are made in China, either packaged there or more likely sent to Mexico, where the precursors are put together with a binding agent to make counterfeit pills. Or fentanyl is oftentimes put into existing illicit drugs such as cocaine, such as methamphetamine, such as heroin. So it's mixed in both ways. Online sales via internet marketplaces and social media. Right now, there are a couple lawsuits going on, one of them against Snapchat, one of them against TikTok. How many of you have heard of TikTok and Snapchat? Okay, they're being prosecuted and sued because their platforms are allowing drug dealers to connect up with young folks. I wouldn't have TikTok on my computer, and I wouldn't let my kids have TikTok on their computers either. But nevertheless, a significant number of high school and college students purchase Adderall and Xanax from social media. Again, namely Snapchat and TikTok. The poison pills are nearly identical to prescription pills. I'm going to show you a picture real quick. They resemble oxycodone, 30 milligram pills, which are often called M30s. They also can mimic hydrocodone, alprazolam, Xanax, Adderall, Percocet, Valium. The one that they find most prevalent that people are dying on is the fake Percocet. They're specifically targeting kids and teens by creating counterfeit pills in a variety of shape and bright colors to appeal to that age. Looking just like Skittles, looking just like Smarties. They're trying to mimic that look so that it attracts the younger generation. Here's a picture. If you look here, counterfeit drugs, this is from the DEA. On the left-hand side, oxycodone. The real oxycodone is on the top picture. The fake is on the bottom. And other than a little bit of discoloration there, you can't tell the difference. And that discoloration may be due just to the pictures. On the right, we're talking about Adderall. Okay? Top is real, the bottom is fake. Very difficult to determine prescription pills from counterfeit pills. It's by deception that they're getting these pills in these young folks' hands. Even the person who gives that to a young person may not even know that it's a counterfeit pill. They may think it's a real pill because they look so close to the same. The effects of fentanyl are sedation, confusion, drowsiness, dizziness, nausea, vomiting, urinary retention, pupillary constriction, and respiratory depression, accounting for basically 90% of all deaths involving an opioid is due to fentanyl. Now there's something even more stronger. It's called xylazine. Xylazine is actually a horse tranquilizer type of drug, but it is being infused and mixed in with fentanyl and heroin and all these other drugs. Philadelphia is a mess with xylazine. Okay, it's not even intended for human consumption, and it's killing people. Fentanyl is flooding the U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized over 11,000 pounds of fentanyl so far in 2023. Over 1,000 grams of fentanyl have been confiscated so far in 2023 in Lawrence County, enough to kill every county resident. Okay, we have a little pill bottle we often show around, and it shows a lethal dose of fentanyl. And you know, all it is the size of 2 grains of sand or salt or sugar. That's all. And that's a fatal dose. If we look at what's been coming into the United States, what they've confiscated, let alone what they haven't confiscated, is enough to kill all of us in America 7 times over. So we are being flooded with it. The DEA has seized more than 70 million counterfeit pills, 109,120 drug deaths in 2022. That may sound a little bit different than some of the other mentions in here, but the CDC is always updating these numbers. Here's the scary part. Once across the border, the fentanyl reaches all U.S. target destinations in 48 to 72 hours. Amazon wishes it had a distribution network out of Michigan. Lawrence County, if you look back in 2015, basically we had 31 drug-related deaths. The source here is from the Lawrence County coroner. As you go down the years up till last year, you can see it's progressed. Dropped off a little bit, for a while there in 2018, 2019, but you can see what's happening. Last year we had almost 30 more deaths than the previous year. And this year, Randy, what did you say you heard last?
About 44, 45.
About 44, 45 so far this year. So we might be.
Maybe making a difference.
Pardon?
Maybe we're making a difference.
Yeah. So this is Lawrence County. The fentanyl crisis here, this is the percentage of fentanyl that was in the cause of death. And as you can see, it steadily grew from 2015. Now it's up to what is estimated to be about 90% of the deaths, drug-related deaths in Lawrence County is traced back to fentanyl. That's scary. That's very scary. Real quickly, we're almost done here. We want to show you a brief video again. Are the prevention tools. When we get in front of young folks in schools, this is our main message. Please become educated about fake pills. Please do not accept or take any pills from a friend. If you are prescribed medication, only take pills prescribed by your doctor and filled by a registered pharmacy. It should have your name on the bottle. Don't accept anything from anybody else. Only your parents or school nurse. Don't take, don't say, well, I got a bad headache. Your friend say, here, I got something for you. I'll take care of that. They may not even know. And that's how this happens. And please do not experiment with drugs. This is a tough one, but we're trying to reach the young folks when we get to the schools. As far as churches, church leaders, we thank you very much for allowing us to come here and speak. These are some of the things that we talk about. Acquire basic knowledge about fentanyl poison pills. You're doing that today. Learn signs and symptoms of drug use. Learn signs and symptoms of overdose, fentanyl poisoning. How many here will recognize the sign of an overdose?
We have brochures out there, we said.
There are brochures in the back. Please get one because on one side of it, there are some emergency numbers. On the reverse side of it tells you how to recognize an overdose, but also how to respond to an overdose. One of our recommendations is, all the schools have Narcan now. We're trying to get them on school buses. We're trying to get them in restaurants. It would be great if churches also stock Narcan because it's free, and you never know. If you know how to recognize a sign of an overdose, then with Narcan you can also understand how to respond. Because these things happen, and they happen any place in public. I don't know if you remember, about 5 years ago, a young lady overdosed and died right in class in Newcastle High School. And it wasn't recognized as what it was. So, not immediately. So that's how we can save a life. Addiction and drug use are diseases of the spirit as much as they are physical and mental diseases. And also, please help educate your congregation and youth groups. And we thank Pastor very much for allowing us to come here to do just that. A little bit of summary here. Just one pill can kill. Just one line of cocaine can kill. Just one bad decision can kill. However, on the other side of that, just one good decision can save a life. Just one person can make a difference. And let's educate ourselves to be that just one person. I'm going to invite Juan, Randy, Lori to come up. If you have any questions. Pastor, how are we on time?
We're good.
One short little video to show.
We got about a 3-minute video, so we got 2 or 3 minutes to probably, are we looking at this, 12? Did we disappear at 12? Did we disappear at 12? We might. Okay. Go ahead.
Questions? Go ahead.
Okay, questions and answers. Okay, here we go. Questions? Any questions here before we play the last video? Any questions? Yeah.
What do you want to see in schools? How far can you go with the message, including spiritual truth? And what kind of response do you get from the kids in school?
Well, I'll tell you that on the spiritual, we get good response. And, you know, people, when you say Vision Ministries, they know what Vision Ministries represent. So when we go into the schools, they know we're a spiritual entity. So when we do mention God and we do those things, hey, throw us out. Once you get the word in, so what? Throw it out, right? So right? I mean, as long as we get it there. But we go in with a spiritual, and you know what? The way we handle ourselves, that's how people can recognize we're spiritual and that we know Christ is Savior, right? It's how we handle ourselves, and people know that. And they know our reputation, so we don't even really have to say that. They know who we are, and they know what we represent. So we represent Jesus Christ in what we do. No doubt about it, their hands down, that's who we represent.
Do you get a good response from the kids?
We do. Go ahead.
Yeah, we get excellent response from the kids, especially when we do, like Mohawk High School, we do single class, we do the health class, 8th grade health class. We're coming here in a couple weeks.
22nd.
But we get a great response. You get a better response when you have a smaller group of kids. They're more attentive. We've done assemblies where you come in with 600-700 kids. Let's be honest, when you get kids in assembly, they're here, they're there, blah, blah, blah. They're not talking. But just to give you a little background on when we meet with these kids. We met with a group. I had a young gentleman come up to me and said that he had just lost his grandmother to fentanyl. It really broke me up because that was the first time I had someone like a young kid come up, and I wasn't quite sure how to answer that. But I talked to him a little bit, and seemed to be okay. I gave him with classes. He had to go, the bell rang, he had to go down one time to sit talking. But anyway, we went back next semester. This young gentleman sought me out and came to me and said how much he appreciated our talk, how much it had helped him. I've had that happen a couple times with a couple of different high schools and stuff. So these kids are listening. We are giving their attention. That's what we're trying to do. Just get their attention to make good decisions in life. It's not just about drugs, it's about making good decisions. Thanks.
We're getting into Union High School next month, 7th through 12th grade. So we're making headway. Other questions? Yes, Dr. Tay. Come on, like they do with Price is Right. Come on down.
I have a question. Pastor,
Yeah.
I want to give you some idea. Could I come up and say something?
Yeah.
Here first,
You got 30 seconds.
I want to thank you very much for them to come and give a talk, because at the Lawrence County Medical Society, a few months ago, I heard their first talk. That's why I invited them to share this with everybody in the community. I just want to let you know one experience. One of my colleagues, a doctor, who took the drugs, he wanted to test how fast people get addicted. He told me that, Dr. Tay, I took one pill every 3 hours. The body go to the brain, move. I want more. This is how this doctor told me. Don't take it, tell all your friends what the pastor of the group say, share to your friend. This doctor said, unbelievable. One pill every 3 hours. Go to the brain and dilute. And I want more and more. Same thing when I was in practice many years ago. The baby was born and baby convulsed, and the patient did not tell me the truth. All the 9 months care, he didn't tell me he's on drug. He was on drug. The baby convulsed. I went to the nursery and asked the baby doctor, what happened? Dr. K, this baby convulsed because mother's on drug, and baby got drug too. Go to the umbilical cord and go to the baby, and baby convulsed because the baby withdraw. And the pediatrician had to give you more drug to calm down the baby. This is unbelievable. That's why I'm just saying thank you for their testimony and everything. But again, I go through this, I went through this before, and I know how important the drug go to the brain, 3 hours, saturated, and need more and more. Thank you.
Yeah, we're gonna play this, last part, does anybody have a quick one? All right, we're gonna play this last thing and then we're done. We appreciate you, Pastor, for letting us, thank you, congregation, for letting us come.
Thank you very much.
One quick note, on next Sunday at 6 to 8 o'clock down at the Riverwalk Park, we're having Light Up the Sky for Recovery. We have, his daughter's gonna speak, I'm gonna speak on the spiritual side, and you're all invited. Bring a chair if you need to sit.
Thank you. Stand with me.